came in Tuesday, and thank God, Kibe resurrected.
But old man George was still sleeping.
Oh man, George was still asleep, man. So it was great to see him back. He came on. He actually started the space fairly early. I mean, I think he was late by roughly not more than 10 minutes, but he started off more or less on time. And this day we spoke about the black tax and also in relation to associations and friends.
True.
Black tax more or less in relation to how, because of our, if you happen to actually be the one who has been successful in your family, you then take up the slack from your parents to help with your younger siblings, and it even extends out to even your extended family. It could be your cousins and others. But in many ways, as much as that is good, I think it ends up burdening us, that in many ways we forget about ourselves. But even in places where, I mean, I think there were examples they were giving us of footballers and the like, celebrities and public figures that have more than enough for themselves and I guess for the family. It still hits them in a harder way because, we read stories of some family members that were planning to even attack their own family members. So I don't know, what are your thoughts around that on black tax and the burden it lays on that person who ends up taking up that slack?
True.
Did he take it on? When does he sort of focus on himself instead of diverting all these resources to his parents, siblings, and the rest?
Do you have a TikTok account?
I don't actually.
Oh, you don't?
No.
But if you're on Facebook, normally there are these videos of how they show Chinese people working, and they work at a very incredible speed, and they are in this factory, and they have to put socks in some kind of, let's say, something. So they have to move quick because there are more, those objects are coming and they have to continually, and they are doing that at an incredible speed. Now imagine if that person would leave the work that they are doing and then focus on somebody else's work. And this object keeps on coming and they have to go to the box. At the end of the day, when they are done with that one, they still have to go to the box, unpack the object, start over and pack again and pack again. So that's an analogy that I would open with, because with what we are doing with black tax is actually the same thing that we are doing with this analogy. We are building somebody else's house while we should be building ours in the name that they are our parents. But at the end of the day, they are our parents. They had a responsibility. And it does not mean that their felt responsibility should now be our emergency. Because that black text, we can say it's felt responsibility that is inherited by the child. It now becomes the child's emergency. But the child, it was not even there to begin with in the child's life, because they thought that I'm going to grow up, and I'm going to build my own family and build my own wealth. But now I have to go back home and, do what I need at home at the expense of what I have to build. So that would be my opening statement in that one.
Yeah. And I wonder, what is it predicated on? To some degree, I think, particularly with and I'm talking more so with the African man, with the African culture, regardless of where it is, either within the continent and even across in the diaspora, we seem to have more or less similar challenges despite the context we find ourselves. So, is it predicated on us, to some degree, pedestalizing our parents, our siblings?
Yeah.
Because even sometimes the person who probably happens to be successful might not be in the sort of in the pecking order of
Yeah,
how,
true.
it could be actually the last born. In many cases, actually, you find,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
younger
yeah,
people are the ones who sort of excel more than old. So,
yeah,
because this is an older brother, an older sister, an uncle, an auntie, my dad, my mom, is it that as Africans, we've really held these titles to a very high degree where we more or less forget ourselves, the
yeah,
individual in this
yeah.
regard? Yeah, what would you say around that actually?
I would say that the root of it all, we can coin it down to economics, because we are from a background of poverty. Your great great grandfather had to start from the beginning and build. Your great great grandfather had to start from the beginning to build. Your father had to start from the beginning and build. You also had to start from the beginning and build. So we are always starting from the beginning and build, but we are never in a point where we are creating generational wealth, because where there's generational wealth, there's no black tax, because the generational wealth gets to take care of the generation in itself. But because we are always starting and living our lives, we die and then it ends there. Then our children have to start, they die, it ends there. So I think it's the major root of black text text. So we always want to get out of this cycle of poverty, take the people with us, take our family with us, get out of the cycle. But when we are taking them with us, we are actually adopting more poverty. So we never get to solve the situation. And it also goes with pedestalizing the family, because you are now the educated person, and you said there's a breakthrough for me. Now, because my parents raised me, I have to raise them back. I have to give them, because they put me through school, they put me through university. Now I have to return the favor. But raising a child is not doing the child a favor, because now black text, it seems like you are my child, I raised you, I did you this favor. When you are successful, there's going to be a time where I need you, so you have to return the favor. So now now we are returning that favor. And now, because we are the educated ones, we are more well off, we are going to also, it's also going to appeal to our ego to say that, you know what, I want to help my sisters, I want to help my brothers. My mother has been there for me. She's done everything, she sacrificed everything. Now I have to give back. So that's exactly what is happening when it comes to black text.
I agree. That aspect you have actually raised of the ego, I think, is also a very key one. I do agree. I mean, sometimes when you're blessed and sort of in your abundance, one, it's good to honor your parents.
Yeah.
But no, they're also human beings. They're not any different from you. But it's good to honor them where you can. But I think the ego comes in when you take up more than you can chew.
True.
And I think many people, particularly when they want to go back to the village, and I see it, I don't know if it's evident in places like South Africa, they'll roll in with that big SUV. They'll be seen, if they go to church, they'll probably be given that high table.
Yeah.
And they start taking on, you'll always be called, fundraisers here in Kenya are called harambes. So you'll be the one person you're always called for harambes, and you never say no. You're always taking the higher burden. Even you could be in a set of siblings where almost everyone is not struggling, but because you're seen as the star, you want to always take on the heavyweight. Instead of saying, okay, we are planning to do this from our parents, let's all contribute. But you want to be seen as the one who did the most. And I think in many regards, that ego is what drives that, as you said.